Have you ever wondered how you can make an income stream on the side while carrying your full-time job? Because maybe you don't like that 9 to 5, maybe you hate your manager, or you've just started out and you don't know what you want to do, so you have a job at the grocery store. Well, in today's episode, we'll be talking over 6 ways that you can make side income by rolling out of bed and just working from home and being your own boss. Eventually, you could possibly even scale these businesses into 6 figures if you're good enough at it. Well, let's get started. Welcome to the Fire Grind, and on this channel we talk about anything and everything that has to do with personal finance and the ability to retire early. So on this episode, as usual, I'll be going over my Wealthsimple portfolio, sharing the gains or the losses that I've had, and giving a bit of insight on what's going on in the markets. Then I'll be going into the main part of the video, talking about the 6 methods that you can take into starting your own business from the comfort of your own home. Before we move on, please consider subscribing to this channel so that you can get notifications of when I post new videos, and smash that like button if you like this content, and leave a comment down below just so I know that you've been here. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me through the comment section. I'll be replying to every single comment. Into the stock portfolio. So in the past day, we've gained about $282, but as we can see on Friday, there was a pretty large dip, and we were down about 1.42%, but it's pretty much recovered, as you can see, and that's mainly due to the scare of coronavirus and what would happen over the weekend, with the death tolls just rising exponentially. But today, the market decided to recover because of the large dip that we saw, and a lot of people decided to buy back in. There's also a bit of news about China and how they're trying to go forward with the trade deal that they have with the United States. Other than that, there was a news story about Tesla, how some analysts predicted it could go up to $7,000 per share, so there's a huge spike in that stock. And on top of that, right now is earnings season, so there's a lot of companies reporting their earnings. Based on the good or bad news, their stock will increase or decrease substantially. Now we'll go over 6 ways that you can earn side income in addition to your current job. So now I'll be going over the 6 ways that you can make income on the side. So for these 6 ways, I'll be weighing them with the first income, so initially how long it takes for you to get the first paycheck, the average time commitment that you have to devote towards a side hustle, the initial investment that you have to put into it, the potential maximum earnings per hour, as well as the time to reach these potential maximums per hour, as well as the percentage of people who will succeed in this. So the first method is buying and selling. So this is very traditional, where you just go and buy things at a lower price and sell them for a higher price. However, you might use tools like Facebook Marketplace, where you see an undervalued item, and you take it in, you sort of refurbish it, and then you sell it at a higher price. And I've done this before with coffee tables or video games. You just have to spend the time to look through these marketplaces. But if you enjoy bargain hunting, this might be for you. The initial investment is fairly low. You can usually find things that are free or up to $50 and flip them for about double the price. For example, I bought a coffee table for $25 and sold it for $90 the other day. Your potential maximum earnings per hour, these are, I would say, fairly low to start off unless you really know what you're doing or you know where to look for these deals. Oftentimes you can look at liquidation stores where they're just trying to get rid of returned items. If you know what you're doing, you can steadily increase these earnings per hour. However, it's fairly difficult to do so if you're just starting out. And the time to reach these maximum potential earnings could be in the days if you're only willing to spend a couple hours, or it could take about a year or 2 where if you're trying to make this into a full-time job. The percentage of people who succeed in this, pretty much you're certain to succeed because you'll find deals out there all the time. You just have to have an eye for value. Now the second method that we're going to talk about is dropshipping. Now the concept of dropshipping has been around for a while. It's where you curate a list of products off of a site that sells them for fairly cheap, like AliExpress or eBay, and you put them onto your own website, and you direct people from ads to the website, and you get them to buy. When they buy, you just go over to AliExpress or eBay, enter in their details, and it ships straight to the door so you don't have to hold inventory. However, the shipping times are fairly long, and that's one of the drawbacks with dropshipping. So the first income you can see within weeks or days depending on your ads and how well they run. And the average time commitment for this can be anywhere up from 5 hours a week to 30 hours. Initially, you're going to set aside quite a bit of time just to start your website and figure out ads. But if you take it slow, you're going to be paying those monthly fees of holding a Shopify store. So I would suggest putting a lot of work initially, and then you could just spend a couple hours a week here and there fulfilling orders after you have the flow of things. The initial investment can be maybe around $300 because you have to pay for a website domain, you have to pay for the Shopify service. Maybe you want to buy the items that you're selling and just take photos of them because the AliExpress photos or eBay photos aren't very good. So roughly $300 is what I would budget for this. The potential maximum earnings per hour are pretty high though. If you find a winner product, you can scale that product from a couple sales a day to thousands within weeks. And some people have done this with great success. You just really have to understand marketing and how people think. The time to reach potential maximum earnings, although I think this is more in the months to years, just because when you start off, you're not going to be a natural guru. You're going to have to spend quite a bit of money just learning and making mistakes. And that's what happened with my journey dropshipping. I spent about $800 in ads and just paying for services or buying online courses just to learn more about this. And the only profits I got from it were about $100. So for me, dropshipping, I didn't successfully do it. However, I still keep my eye on it. Soon I might be engaging in another store that I have an idea for. So stay tuned and I'll share that with you. The percentage of people who succeed in this is fairly low. Like myself, I failed. There's just a lot of other people who failed out there. If you go into these Facebook groups talking about dropshipping, there's always people asking, after some guy posts a screenshot of how they made $10,000 in 1 week, they're asking, how did you do this? What was your ad copy? What's your store? These people just give very vague answers because they don't want to give away their secret sauce. The third method that we're going to talk about is starting a blog or a YouTube channel. So that's what I'm doing here, starting a YouTube channel where I'm talking about a subject that I'm fairly passionate about, which is personal finance. And for me, I believe this channel will maybe start to make me some income in about a year or so. From other YouTubers' journeys that I've seen, they usually take about 9 months to a year to start getting any sort of revenue. And that might be like $8 the first month and then $10 the next month. However, the effect just snowballs. The average time commitment for this, currently I'd say it's around 9 hours a week personally. However, some people who do this full time can be spending up to 30 to 60 hours just pushing out content day after day and doing all the editing they can to make their videos look very professional. The initial investment for this can be anywhere from $0 if you have your own smartphone to $500 or so just for a microphone or a basic camera. You can definitely go higher if you really wanted to, but typically I'd say people spend from $0 to $500 to start a channel. For blogging, you have your own costs of the domain and finding pictures and stuff, so that will probably be lower, more like $100. The time to reach your maximum potential earnings is in the years, just because you have to continue building up your following, and this following will continue to increase and your maximum potential earnings will continue to increase. The percentage of people who succeed in this though is fairly low, just because it takes a lot of time initially, and if you don't see success in it, you're going to want to quit. So a lot of people quit after 1 month, 3 months, 4 months when they're not getting any more subscribers or they're just finding it takes too much time. So I'd say the success rate is fairly low for this. Next on the list, we have investing. So investing is what I show on this channel. I have a Wealthsimple portfolio which I track. If you start at the beginning and the market's at an all-time high and it crashes, it could take you a couple of years to recover. However, if you look at trends in the past, over the past 30 years or so, if you continue to put money steadily, you can see that your gains will eventually come and increase at about a 10% rate. And that's about the average gains that we've seen since the beginning of the stock market till now. Your initial investment and your average time commitment, we're talking about anywhere from a couple of dollars depending on what platform you're using to millions of dollars if you have access to that kind of capital. And you could be spending as little as 10 minutes a week just logging on and just adding more money to certain ETF funds that you want to do. Or you could be spending up to 60 hours a week just reading earnings reports and doing research. So it really depends on what you want to make of it. Your potential maximum earnings per hour are the sky. It really depends on what you choose to invest in. If you're in high risk stocks, you could be getting high reward. So let's say you got into Tesla when it was $20. Today it's $780. Tomorrow it could be $7,000. Your potential earnings are basically the sky's the limit. However, at the same time, you could also lose. If you're investing in companies that have very bad businesses, or they just go under because of penny stocks, you could be losing all your money, so maybe you won't even make a gain. But for most people who invest in ETFs or safer things like banks, grocery stores, stuff that you can't get rid of easily tomorrow, I would say that your chances of succeeding are fairly high and your earnings will be fairly steady at about 10%. And the time to reach this is multiple years. I would say you probably want to look over a 30-year time span, and you'll definitely see gains if you're a fairly conservative or even slightly liberal investor. Next, this isn't quite from the comfort of your own home, but from the comfort of your car. You could be a Lyft or Uber driver or Amazon delivery driver. The first income that you'll see from this platform is in usually a week or two, where the rides that you have taken over the past week or two, Uber, Lyft, or Amazon delivery will pay you that out in probably a direct deposit. The average time commitment for this can be anywhere from an hour to 40 hours or 60 hours. It depends on, is this your main source of income or not? Maybe you're bored at home because you're a single guy and you've got 5 hours to spare each night. You could spend 25 hours for the 5 days of the week that you want to work. However, if you're like a mom with 3 kids and a husband, you might only have an hour just to get out and give these rides, and your earnings will be a lot less. The initial investment for this can range from basically a tank of gas, so $60 to $25,000 for a new car. However, I believe Uber has a leasing program for their vehicles where you can just lease a vehicle from them and they'll deduct that from your earnings, so the initial investment there is fairly low. The time to reach your maximum potential earnings might be in the order of months or years depending on your rating. I believe the higher the rating you have, the better rides you get. And I guess just being smart about which rides you take and which ones you don't. There's definitely things that you can learn in this whole business, and that's a way that you can increase your maximum potential earnings. However, the cap of these earnings is maybe in the orders of $40 to $50 an hour, unless you have a special edge in this. The percentage of people who succeed in this though is basically everyone. Everyone who signs up can get rides. And last but not least, we'll be talking about being a social media influencer. And in this sort of side hustle, this is waiting out for the long game. The first income, you might not see this for a year or two, depending on how quickly you gather your following. How you do this will dictate how many followers you can get. The average time commitment though is maybe about 7 hours a week. I imagine you could allot about an hour a week just to finding the perfect picture, writing the perfect tag to it, and just commenting on other people's profiles and trying to attract a following. The initial investment is just to have a smartphone. If you have one already, that's basically it. It's free to do. If you want, you can put a bit more money into it by investing into a camera and taking pictures and porting it over to Instagram. However, this is not necessary. The potential maximum earnings for this though is quite lucrative, because if you have a very strong following with a lot of engagement, companies want to advertise on your page and they could pay you $50,000 just for one post. So your earnings are basically the sky's the limit as well. It depends on what kind of audience you attract. And the time to reach this though is probably in the order of years, just because you won't be able to build up a following the next day like that. It takes a lot of effort and work and studying how other people do it. And the percentage of people who succeed in this is, I'd say, fairly low, just because people will give up early when they don't see the results. And we're talking about you might need a couple of years. And who can go through this just taking photos every day for a year and just not seeing any results, and can be very demotivating. So that's why I can understand how a lot of people drop off after a month or 2 months or 3 months of seeing no results. So these are the 6 ways that you can make a side income while carrying a full-time job. So I hope you've enjoyed this content. Keep up the grind and have a great day.